In the year 2017, an innocent man accused of a crime has a choice: hard time or prime time.
Sensational. Perfect contestant. I want him.
He must pay or play the running man.
On your mark.
I'll be back.
Go!
Hey guys, welcome to Movie Matters. I'm Kevin.
I'm Jake.
And today we're back to more classic 80s movies as opposed to our baseball April month that we had. Today we watched and we're talking about The Running Man from 1987 with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Definitely a classic in my book. What do you think, Jake? I know it was your first time viewing it. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, I liked it. It's a good movie. It is not a cinema masterpiece, but it's fun and it's like hardcore 80s action. So it's enjoyable. I think that's the bottom line is
Yeah.
it's the same type of thing, and I want to talk about this later, but it's the same type of thing as Roadhouse and Commando, where it's kind of just goofy, but it's entertaining. So you can look past some of the shortcomings because it's at least fun.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that statement. So this is my third viewing of this. I saw it when I was young as a kid because I'm a big Schwarzenegger fan. I say it all the time. I've always loved his movies, love his action. I didn't care for this movie when I first saw it as a kid. And I don't know why I didn't like it. Maybe because it's not as bloody as his other movies, maybe.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe, and again, I saw it young, so maybe it was the subject matter was a little over my head at the time. But I watched it a few months ago, maybe almost a year ago, and I was like, okay, I really liked it. And then I watched it obviously now, and we both bought it in 4K. Looked and sounded awesome in 4K, by the way. I've been so busy, so I was just in Chicago with you. That's where I was at, where we did our last podcast, which was fun, and it was good to see you, obviously. And I've been exhausted from everything. We literally got back from Chicago and went to a wedding that day, and so that was a lot. And now I'm working this entire week, so this isn't our day job, people. This is just for fun. So yeah, we got to work for a living to have this fun hobby. But I'm exhausted, and I watched this movie in bits and pieces, just because I've been so tired this week. So this viewing kind of sucked a little bit for me because I didn't watch it all the way through, and I've been really trying to not do that with movies lately. I'll watch a movie, I'll pause, I'll go shower, or I'll go grab food, and then come back to it. I mean, obviously that's the convenience of owning the movie or streaming the movie, but I'm trying to get away from that so much lately because it just it really hinders the viewing experience. Did you watch this all in one sitting?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Or actually no, because I stopped about halfway through because I really wanted popcorn. But I picked a good stopping point. I think it was right after Sub-Zero dies.
Oh, nice.
And everyone in the audience is kind of mourning.
Yeah.
I was it's a good place to stop for popcorn. So get into the second half of the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, to your point about not liking this as a kid, I could see that because the plot of this movie is actually very high concept, it's political and dystopian and kind of sci-fi and but the everything else beyond like the concept of the movie is just straight up like
Yeah.
punching people and shooting people, and like it's not like it kind of loses all of that like high concept kind of stuff like very quickly. So
Yeah.
it's like I could see it being like like hard to like grasp exactly what's going on as like a kid.
Yeah, that's funny you say that, because it's like you basically put it in a nutshell of the movie. It's like it's so high concept. There's so many things like that it's trying to say, yet it does it so simplistically and so like goofy, like you were mentioning earlier. And it's kind of comical, but it's also interesting that this is a book, and it's a Stephen King book, which it was under his pseudonym Richard Bachman. But what were you going to say? You were going to say something.
Yeah, I was gonna say that it's funny because the movie starts out with the
Helicopter scene?
the helicopter scene where he
which
refuses.
is hilarious, by the way.
Yeah, it is. Like, you know, it hits you hard right off the bat with this like big moral dilemma of like he's told to fire on this like innocent group of people, and he's like, I'm not going to do that, and like, you know, like basically mutinies, you know, in his helicopter, but gets, you know, kind of thwarted by the rest of the crew.
It's so goofy, that
and like
scene.
poses like even the text, you know, in the beginning of the movie that kind of sets the scene for things is all very like like I don't it's very heavily political in like a nonpartisan kind of way, but it's like talking about like the collapse of the global economy and like this like totalitarian authoritarian government takes over the country and like, you know, tries to like force people into compliance through like the bread and circuses of this show, The Running Man, and like, you know, like all this stuff that's like really like, wow, this is gonna be like really intense and stuff, and then it's just like, no, then we're just gonna give you like 2 hours of Arnold just like beating the shit out of people. like it starts off like trying or like acting like it's gonna say a whole lot, and then it says absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So like it's kind of funny, and like I'm sure the book is much more centered around those themes than the movie is, but
Yeah. This is supposedly way different than the book, which I actually just ordered it on Amazon. I'm going to try and read it. I think it's only like 400 pages. It's not very long, so I think I'm going to give it a shot. I'm not a big reader personally.
yeah.
But, you know, people say you should be well read, so maybe I'll read. I'll start with that, The Running Man, which they're actually going to remake this movie with Glenn Powell and Edgar Wright is directing, which
Okay.
has great like that sounds great. I don't know, like we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
I'm sure it won't be goofy.
And like I was gonna say, like, this movie is extremely timely now.
Yes.
Like I mean, it takes place in 2017, so like we're a little past the point, the time of the movie. But like, you know, without getting too judgmental about anything, like we're at like an all-time high distrust in media and government and like everything. So like all distrust in institutions is like down in the toilet. So like this is like the kind of time where like this movie really hits hard and like makes like to like make a good statement, you know? So like a remake totally makes sense.
Yeah. 80s movies, though, this is awesome that it's still relevant today, which is cool because the movie didn't do very well when it first came out, and it's subsequently been, you know, kind of reevaluated, and it's you know, it's fun. Like people aren't taking it too serious.
Right.
So I don't know if you looked into who wrote the movie. Did you see that at all?
No, I didn't catch it.
Yeah, Steven DeSouza. So does that name ring a bell?
Yeah, it's familiar, but I can't
Okay.
think of
One of our favorites.
Die Hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he wrote Commando. So
Yes.
a
Okay.
staple '80s writer who we definitely like. He wrote this movie, and again, it's interesting how it was adapted from this novel, which again I'll probably read, and maybe we'll reevaluate it when the new one comes out. But Stephen D'Souza definitely took his '80s spin with it and made it very '80s and very action
Yeah.
and
Like that's super interesting because all day today I was thinking about what this movie like reminds me of, and Commando kept coming to mind.
oh yeah.
And I was so like it makes total sense that he wrote both of those movies. And
Yeah,
like,
it's very similar to Commando.
yeah.
You know.
In like the one-liners, the
The one-liners are incredible in this movie.
yeah, these are
It's like-
pretty great.
Yeah. There's one like every 10 seconds. It's like insane.
Yeah.
And we'll get to them, I'm sure, because I want to definitely repeat them.
But I mean, even like Die Hard also, like Commando, Die Hard, and this movie are all, like, kind of politically charged, or at least like politically relevant, but they don't take any stances, which is interesting. And it's a really hard line to walk because, like,
Yeah, that's interesting.
you're in like I don't know. It's just it to me it makes it a little bit like it ups the stakes a little bit in like the action, but without having to like be preached to about one side
Yeah.
or the other, you know? Because like Die Hard has this like, I mean, they're claiming to be international terrorists and they turn out to just be bank robbers. You know, Commando is, you know, some like faceless kind of drug cartel
Assassination
in
plot.
some
Yeah.
nameless country, you know, like and this obviously is this like dystopian, yeah, the like dystopian future of the Running Man. You know, and like they all kind of have like some sort of like political tinge, but it's not like it doesn't like suck to like have to like endure the like politics of those things. It's just like a nice backdrop or like you know, like detail to like help build the world enough that it's like engaging. I think that's cool, kind of cool.
It makes it timeless for sure, even though this movie's very dated. It feels dated because it's very
Immensely.
80s, which is ironic because it's supposed to take place in the future, which is funny. But
The Christmas
that
tree,
makes
man.
sense. But kind of going back to Commando a little bit, this is going to be totally random, and it came into my head, but like I kind of want to make a T-shirt that says like Valverde on it, and it's got like a palm tree and stuff. Like I don't know, I feel like that'd be kind of fun. I wonder if someone has made that.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to make that and then do like a movie matters or something on it.
Yeah.
We should do that. That'd be fun. But yeah, it's so 80s. The best. This movie almost reminds me also of Cobra a little bit, just with the action and the over-the-top one-liners and like the random like photo shoot robot scene in Cobra. There's like the dancers in this that are like, you know, the like intermission or like commercial break entertainment that these audience members are watching.
That
while
goes
watching
on
The Running
just a
Man.
touch too long.
Yes. And the soundtrack to it is phenomenal. It's so 80s and awesome.
Yeah, this might be the most 80s movie that we've watched so far,
And that's
in
so
terms
ironic.
of just like saturation of like 80s staples. I think this might be the
It's
one.
definitely up there for sure, and that's why I was excited to talk about it, because our past few movies, our past baseball movies, haven't been that, you know, 80s schlock or overload.
Yeah.
But that I want to go back to that dance scene. It was choreographed by Paula Abdul. Of like
Even
of,
more
of,
80s.
of our millennial like zeitgeist. It's you know, she was on American Idol. That's how I know her personally.
Yeah,
Obviously
I've
she was
never
a singer
heard
and a dancer.
any of her music
and
in my
stuff.
entire
Neither
life.
have I. Yeah, neither have I. Another cool fun fact about it is, so Paul Michael Glaser directed this. Do you know who that is?
Brian Glazer's brother?
No, but I'm sure they're related down there, even though their last names are spelled differently.
Oh,
he
never
is
mind.
he is Starsky from Starsky and Hutch.
Oh,
And he
okay.
directed this movie, which is
That's
pretty
cool.
wild. So, prior to him being hired, it's produced by Rob Cohen, who did from our kind of millennial 90s, early 2000s movies like catalog that we all like. He directed Fast and Furious.
Oh, okay.
So he's known for that. So he produced this movie. He was the executive producer, and like at first he hired 4 directors, obviously not at one time, but to try and make this movie. At first he had George P. Cosmatos, who did Cobra, and he did Rambo Part 2, and he liked his work on that movie, and that's why he wanted to hire him. But like Cosmatos wanted to relocate the entire movie to a shopping mall, which would be interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, and then he was interested in a German director named Karl Schenkel, which I've not seen his stuff, but in '84 he made this movie like Abwarts. I've not seen it. Maybe we'll add it to the list.
All like German films, I'm guessing.
Yeah, probably. Schenkel turned him down because he didn't feel comfortable taking on such a large project. Then Cohen hired Ferdinand Fairfax, based on his work Nathan Hayes, which is another 80s movies, which I haven't even heard of or seen. And then Fairfax wanted to take the screenplay in a completely different direction, and Cohen was like, no. And then Andrew Davis was going to be hired because he liked the movie Code of Silence, which I've not seen, which we should add to our list. But Andrew Davis, I believe, and I'll look this up, I believe he did The Fugitive, which is a movie I love, with Harrison Ford. And then he went to Starsky. And ironically, well, Schwarzenegger didn't think he could direct. He's like, Schwarzenegger was particular at this, in the 80s with his movies, and he chose his movies very wisely, in my opinion. He was just like, I don't know about this director. I don't know about him. Like, I don't think he's the right man for the job. But as, production went on, he's like, okay, like, it was good. Let me look up Andrew Davis. Pretty sure he did Fugitive. Yeah, he did The Fugitive.
Okay.
So,
yeah, it's funny. 'Cause, I mean, Starsky and Hutch is like one of the like iconic 70s like cop shows. It like is not at all like this type of movie. Like Starsky and Hutch is almost like a buddy cop comedy with like a little bit of action. So it seems like he did pull this movie off. So that's kind of neat.
Especially being hired kind of last minute. So Schwarzenegger didn't put all the blame that it was like not going to do well or anything like that on Glazer's shoulders. And then there's also, again, every time we watch 80s movies, I'm like, oh, that guy. We've seen him in our other 80s movies. Mm-hmm. Do you know who I'm talking about, or can you like?
Woody from Psych?
Was he in it?
Yeah, he's
Psych?
one of the like producers of the TV show.
I didn't even notice that. That's funny. But I'm talking.
And he was also in one of the other movies, at least one of the other movies we've watched so far. That I can't think of right now. But who's the other guy? Is there
Kurt Fuller? Oh yeah, I love that guy. Yeah, he's funny. So the other guy from the 80s is Alonzo Mosley from Midnight Run. He's the what's his name in this movie? It's not Weiss. It's the other guy. It's Laughlin.
Laughlin, yeah.
Yeah, and and then obviously you got Jesse Ventura from Predator. I love that whole, like, I always think of like 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon when I like see all these guys. I'm like, oh, that guy's in this, and it just like, I don't know, just makes me appreciate watching these movies more.
Yeah, this is 87, right?
Yeah.
And then Predator was after this.
Yeah, just after, I think. No, it's 87 as well.
It is? Oh, wow.
Yeah, I wonder which one came out first.
Schwarzenegger and Ventura must have been working together a lot that year.
Yeah. I wonder when specifically it came out. That'd be interesting to see.
But yeah, I mean, like, the this is another one of those, like, who's who of 80s acting. Like, there's a lot of like recurring actors in this movie that with a lot of the other movies that we've talked about so far. So yeah, it's always funny when like those people show up and you're not really expecting it.
Agreed. So this movie actually came out after The Predator.
Oh,
Or after
interesting.
Predator. Yeah. I just looked it up. Predator was the summer. It was in June. This was in November, which is interesting.
Okay. They probably filmed like right at the same time.
Yeah, I
Or
would
back to
imagine
back
so.
almost.
Well, what's funny about this is I read that Schwarzenegger's biceps appear smaller in this movie, which is like, how can you tell? Apparently they were 17 inches, and like at his peak they were 21 inch in Total Recall. Like 17 to 21, that's 4 fucking inches in an already massive bicep. That's insane. Jeez.
When was Total Recall?
90.
Oh.
I'm excited. We'll eventually get to 90s movies. There's just so many 80s movies I want to do.
Yeah.
But Total Recall is a awesome movie.
Yeah.
And a 90s classic.
Another in the same kind of vein as this, where it's just very goofy and like over the top, but very entertaining.
Total Recall is like a perfect film for me, if you ask me. I love anything that Paul Verhoeven does, basically. But yeah, that's a whole nother episode we could literally get into. I mean, again, kind of like one of the goofy parts I liked is when, and it was like really goofy and kind of stupid and made me laugh pretty hard, is when they're like escaping from this like mining prison, and this one guy Chico is like running because he thinks the like shields are down, and everyone's like, "No, don't go!" And they're all yelling at him, and he's just like, "Yeah," and then you just see his head explode.
Yeah,
I laughed pretty hard at that.
yeah,
and that guy is in like a lot of movies as like an extra or like a very minor character. I'd have to see who that is because he's like in a ton of movies. I feel like I'm gonna look that up.
yeah. I mean, like I will say the effects in this movie are pretty good.
Yeah.
Like the head explosion is pretty awesome. What I don't know what you call it, like bobsled tunnel like sequences are really cool. And filmed like super awesome. Like I don't know how they did that, but like it seems like practical effects, and like they actually just flew a camera down a tunnel. Like it's pretty cool.
It's very cool.
Especially the one shot where it like cuts through like a turn, like right in front of the camera. Like that's a really cool shot. Like they do a good job of making you feel like they're going like 1,000,000 miles an hour through down that like sled thing.
Yeah, it's definitely done really well. Real quick, going back to Chico, Thomas Rosales Jr. Dude, he's been in everything. I'm not even kidding. So he's in Commando, believe it or not.
Okay.
He's in Speed.
Is he the guy that gets his head cut off with a saw blade?
He's definitely a guy that gets wrecked. I'll tell you that much. Because he's titled his character's name is Young Gorilla.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Okay, so he like all has these bit parts. Like he's Old Man in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes from 2014. He was in the Need for Speed movie as a valet. He was in the Green Hornet as a gang leader. He's like in 2 episodes of Sons of Anarchy. He was in Bruno with what's his
Sacha
name?
Baron Cohen.
Yeah, thank you. He's in Running Scared. He's in Collateral, Men in Black 2, Ocean's 11. I mean, this guy's in some amazing movies.
Yeah.
Traffic, which is a great movie. Let's see, what else? He's on an X-Files episode, Deep Impact, U.S. Marshals, Face Off, Con Air,
Jeez.
Lost World Jurassic Park. Oh, I remember him in that. He's in L.A. Confidential. He's in Escape from L.A. He's in Tremors 2. He's in Heat. Oh, yeah, he's the armored truck driver in Heat.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that gets shot in the face, I'm pretty sure.
Does he get killed in every movie?
Probably. Yeah, like I said, he's in Speed. He's in The Crow. He's in Last Action Hero with Arnold. God, he's in everything, man. He's in Kindergarten Cop. He's in Predator 2, RoboCop 2. Oh my God, we got to make a podcast just on this fucking guy. Yeah. Holy shit. Oh my God. That's awesome. Jeez. There's another character, I don't know if you read about this, Mick, the like leader of the underground.
Yeah.
Did you see who that is?
Yeah, it's Mick Fleetwood.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's super awesome. Yeah,
for anybody
Fleetwood
that
Mac,
doesn't
obviously.
know, yeah, he's the drummer for Fleetwood Mac. The band named after him, obviously. I was like, I saw his name during the credits, and I was like, what? Like, that can't be him. And then, like, I looked up, and I was like, holy shit, it's actually him. And
yeah.
Like, I thought he just had, like, the bit part in the beginning of, like, deactivating the collars. And I was like, oh, shit, he's, like, the leader of the resistance. Like, that's badass.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
They have him in, like, old makeup.
Yeah. Which I was like,
funny.
I was like, how fucking, he wasn't that old in the 80s.
Definitely not. And, like, his, like, right-hand man is Stevie. And an obvious nod to Stevie Nicks of Fleetwood Mac, again, people who don't know. Mm-hmm. And so getting back to the movie in terms of, like, it's, you know, it's very dated, but it does have things that it predicted very well with that, like, for what's happening now, like you said, kind of politically, but also, like, technologically.
Yeah.
There's a scene where the main girl goes in to her house, and she's like, ICS coffee, the coffee maker starts. She's like, ICS channel 1. It's kind of like, you know, Google, hey Google, do this, or hey Alexa, or hey, I'm going to, hopefully my phone doesn't catch it, but hey Siri. Oh, it caught it. Yeah, that was pretty cool. The whole cultural phenomenon of TV in general, and like reality shows became huge after this. Mm-hmm. It's pretty interesting.
The biggest one is the like deep fake that they do in the like cage match with Jesse Ventura, where they like map Arnold's face onto a stunt double. And
that was cool.
For the audience, it looks like he's fighting Arnold. That was a really cool like sequence, and something that's like way outside the box of like normal like predictions from the 80s in like of technology. So I feel like, you know, the 80s is like an interesting time because obviously a lot of new technology was being introduced, and sometimes I feel like the most obvious technological advancements they totally overlooked, and like super obscure things that like, you know, they like no one like like they like nail these like things like this, like that, like deep faking things on TV.
Yeah, who would have
like
thought that?
They fucking like pinpoint nail it. But then they're still like anticipating people to have like brick-sized cell phones in 2017 or whatever. Like, you know, like they just don't like.
It'd be
Or
interesting.
they overshoot like like, oh, there's like flying cars in 2017 or like, you know, whatever. Like,
it'd be interesting to see how like movies nowadays predict the future and what will actually come about. I think that's very interesting. But it also like reminds me of like a classic 80s like prediction of Back to the Future Part 2 where they're like, "Oh, the Cubs are going to win the World Series." Like, and they do.
Which we'll get to Back to the Future.
Yeah, I can't wait.
It's Part 2 where they actually go to
the future.
2015, right?
Yeah.
I think.
Yep.
And they actually do a pretty damn good job of predicting 2015 again, besides the flying cars.
Yeah.
But like most everything else is like not too far off in that movie, but we'll get to that.
I'm excited to get to that because I love those movies. So Richard Dawson is the guy who plays Damon Killian in this, and he worked on the game show Family Feud.
Yep.
So he was an actual game show host, which is super cool. He is awesome in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
He is so good. He plays such an asshole, and apparently people say he was not too dissimilar from his character in this movie, which is pretty interesting. So
you can kind of see it.
Oh yeah.
Like his character reminds me a lot of like Kevin Spacey's acting quite a bit. Especially in like House of Cards, where there's kind of like this like duplicitous like showman side, and then like the like
Dark,
behind
sinister.
Closed doors like asshole, like, you know, psychopath kind of thing. Which I thought was kind of interesting. I think the whole like the spectacle of like the show was like spot on. Like the way they like crafted the like the show, I think was like very well done. And like I love how like the like audience members get to pick who like the next like gladiator is gonna be or whatever, and like as things happen, like they win prizes and stuff. Like it's just like it's so like wild, but it's like such a great like game show kind of like environment. It's just really cool and well done.
Yeah, and I love seeing like the civilians outside of the show, you know, betting on people and everything. I love that aspect of it. They do like that's a really cool aspect I liked of the movie for sure, and I agree with you on that. It like shows how people are so mesmerized with TV, and they do a really good job of that, of showing all these people watching and like in amazement and like super obsessed with it. I mean, they're trying to watch these people fucking die or get killed, and they're like stoked about it, which is wild.
It's like these like bloodthirsty grandmas and stuff, and like it's like like the 80s, and we've talked about this quite a bit, like 80s action movies are super violent, and they got even more violent in the 90s. And I feel like this movie must have seen the trajectory, and that's what they were trying to like aim for, was like if you just took this to like the most extreme outcome, it would just be like people getting murdered on live television. You know, like so like it definitely hits that like whatever like enjoyment people get from watching people just get wrecked. Like they really like nailed that aspect of the like future of entertainment or
Yeah.
you know that they were going for.
Well, think about it, because it's ironic that we like these people are watching Arnold try to get killed, but we're watching it really for Arnold to fucking kill these people.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's so ironic, and it almost is like it flips it on its flips it on its head.
Yeah.
And it makes us root for Arnold, obviously, to kill these guys. I don't know. It's just it's interesting. And
yeah. Well, it's the same thing that Die Hard does, where McClane is almost the bad guy in the movie from the perspective of the characters in the movie. And it's the same thing with Arnold in The Running Man, where he's the bad guy, even though we want to root for him.
Yeah, the audience knows he's not. The real audience watching the movie knows he's not the bad guy.
Yeah. And like there's
that's good filmmaking, if you ask me, by the way.
Yes. It's that the cool, like you said, like subversion or like inversion of standard tropes that like make things interesting.
It makes you root for him even more.
Yeah, yeah.
And that just, you connect with the character more, and it pulls you in more. And again, that's great filmmaking.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I don't know, like this is why 80s cinema is so special to me, because it's like they don't make them like they used to. I mean, that's my whole motto of this show. And it's just they're so good.
Yeah, like I don't know,
these movies.
To tie it into like a more recent thing. I don't know if you've watched The Boys at all.
Oh yeah, of course.
But like that's the same type of thing where you have all these heroes that are actually the villains.
Yeah.
And the guys that would have be the villains normally trying to kill the superheroes are actually the heroes. And you're rooting for them to go kill the superheroes.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing that like I'm sure if we went back further, we could find like the source of that. But like the 80s really nails it, I feel like, in a lot of these action movies.
I think it's like the same thing as like the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Versus, you know, a group of criminals that you're rooting for.
Right.
And it makes it entertaining. But again, this movie is peak 80s, so it just makes it even better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think of the stalkers, the gladiators that go and try and kill our contestants?
Sub-Zero, the like
Sub-Zero.
hockey player is kind of dumb, but like I mean, whatever. I thought it was awesome that Arnold strangled him with barbed wire.
Basically garrotes it, like just
like that was kind of a cool way to knock him out. Who's Buzzsaw and the Dynamo are the two that they have to contend with at the same time. Dynamo's so lame. Like,
is that the opera dude with the lights? Hey, Christmas tree!
Hey, Christmas tree!
Lighthead!
Yeah, I mean, he shoots like electricity cannons and then just sings opera and then tries to rape the girl like 3 times in the movie.
Yeah,
like
it's kind of fucked up.
It is kind of fucked up. But like,
and you like see his underwear and everything, like it's jock strap when he's like getting on top of her. Very gross. I forgot about that scene, and he was just like, she like kicks him in the balls, and he's like, oh yeah. He's like, do you want to see like a dick or something? He says something like that. And I'm just like, Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, oh wow.
But like, I did think it was an interesting choice for Arnold to spare him in that part where his car flips.
Agreed.
And the guy's like, oh my God, like, don't kill me. And Arnold's like, I'm not going to kill a helpless person or something. Like, I get it. But at the same time, like, just fucking roast him, you know? Like,
that circles back to what we were just talking about, folks.
Yeah.
Just kill him.
Just kill him. But I mean, the Buzzsaw fight was pretty good.
Yeah, he fucking saws his nuts, basically.
Yeah. And he doesn't actually fight Jesse Ventura.
No, Captain
which is
Freedom.
interesting. Yeah. I feel like that should have been the big
Finale.
No, I mean the game show
kind of.
host is obviously like the real villain
Yeah,
of
yeah.
it, but
I get what you're saying.
like I guess it is kind of a subversion tactic as well, that like the big finale fight is fake.
Yeah.
in the movie, you know, and like
Yeah.
they actually play out the whole fight for you, but Arnold in air quotes ends up getting like shoved into like spikes,
Spike wall, yeah.
and dies.
Yeah.
But it's the like stunt double or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that was an interesting choice. Obviously, you want to see, what's his name, Killian,
Yeah.
the game show host, bite the dust. They wreck him.
No, they send him down that toboggan slide or
Shoot
whatever.
him down the thing and into a brick wall and
Yeah,
blows
and then he
up.
explodes up. Yeah, he blows up. That's very 80s. Things
Yes.
that shouldn't blow up, blow up.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, yeah.
I
Go
love
ahead.
the line. I love the line real quick before. There's so many classic lines. Arnold says, "I'll be back," which is his staple, to Killian, and then I just love he's like, "Hey, Killian, here's Sub-Zero. Now, Plane Zero." I love that. I love that. Just so many good lines. But
Yeah,
what
I'm
were we
trying
gonna
to
say?
think of.
Hey, Christmas tree.
A Christmas Tree's pretty good. There's another one that I can't.
It's where he's like signing the guy's back, and he's just, what does he
stabs
say?
him.
Yeah, he stabs him, and he says, what did he say? I wrote it down. Don't forget to send me a copy.
Yeah. I keep wanting to say "stick around," but that's Predator.
Yeah. There's the
No,
scene
I
where
like the one where he lights the flare and he's like, "Want a light?" and throws
Yeah.
it on the flamethrower guy.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
there's a really good line that's very subtle that I like, where he's guiding the girl to go to Hawaii or whatever, or to go on the plane, and he's just like, "Remember, I can break a neck like a chicken's." I love that line. It's so subtle and funny. There's so many good ones. And then he blows him up. He blows up that dude with the flamethrower, and he's like, "What a light!" What does he say? "What a hothead!"
Yeah, what a hothead.
Again, just classic. Yeah, the body count is pretty high in this movie, considering it doesn't seem like it. It's 41, which is a lot.
Yeah, but most of them are probably at the end.
Yeah, definitely.
Because he only gets 4 kills in the actual game.
Yeah.
Then when he
yeah.
pairs up with the Resistance, he goes classic Arnold with an M16 one-handed and
Yeah.
just starts blowing people away.
Firing at not even aiming down the sights, just I was watching that and I was like, man, that's classic. Yeah, you get a lot of death at the end. Again, it reminded me of Commando as well when I was watching that climactic scene. It's just very Commando, especially with the ending where it's just like, let's put on a poppy 80s song, and they get they live happily ever after. They walk off the screen after they just murdered a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, again, a love story that's unnecessary and really doesn't show up until the last 5 minutes of the movie. So, I mean, then you get a power ballad, like you said, everything's good with the world.
Yep. Yeah. It's a good movie. It's a fun movie.
Yeah.
Definitely worth a watch. It's very 80s. I'd say it's one of our most 80s movies we've watched, but then again, most of Schwarzenegger's movies are. Well, at least Commando and this. But yeah, I love this movie, and it's definitely worth a watch, and I'm curious how well the new one, the remake, will do, especially with the talent it has. Like I said, Edgar Wright is a really good director, and I like Glenn Powell. He's up and coming. I think he'll do a good job. And then I'm curious, since I ordered the book, I'm going to read the book and see, because it apparently differs a lot. Like I said, like he's the main character. Ben Richards is skinny and like a weakling, and it's obviously the antithesis is Arnold, who's a fucking tree. So, yeah, I definitely
wonder
enjoyed this
if
one.
I feel like Edgar Wright could really toe that line between serious and like comical in the way that this movie is.
I wonder if
like,
they'll do that, or if they'll just make it super serious.
Yeah, I mean, because like he did Baby Driver, right?
Yeah,
And like that movie toes that line pretty well.
a little bit of goofiness in it. Yeah,
but it's still pretty like tonally it's more serious, but it still has some like fun elements with like the soundtrack and things like that, you know. So like I'd like to see them do kind of a throwback remake
Almost like,
of this movie and like you know really try and hit that same kind of like tone, you know.
Well, it's funny you say that because Baby Driver, when I saw it, John Hamm is awesome in that movie. I'm a big John Hamm fan, and he reminded me of the Terminator in that movie, in Baby Driver, because he just like doesn't freaking die and is unstoppable in that movie. And so maybe that was his inspiration, and maybe he'll make this very 80s like. So we'll see. Yeah, let us know what you guys think. We've got a fun one coming up next. We're doing all different genres this month. We're going to do After Hours from Martin Scorsese, which is a comedy, which I'm looking forward to because I haven't seen it, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, hope you enjoyed this one because we definitely did, and we'll catch you next week.
Yep. See ya.